This means that members of the public body as well as members of the public may access this meeting in person or via virtual means. In-person attendance will be the location listed at the top of this agenda, and it is possible that some or all members of the public body may attend remotely. With in-person attendance consisting of members of the public, this may be accessed remotely via Link's team. Thank you. Okay, so we got a full agenda this morning, and we've got some people online. Good morning to our online, Sandy, and who else do we have online? Scott? And Christy. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, so we've got a good agenda to go through, so let's get started. And is there a vote of approval for the minutes or any discussion? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Yep. So what?
And these are for the February 3rd, 2026 meeting?
Yes, so I would move to approve the minutes as presented.
Seconded.
Seconded by Mike. All in favor? Dan?
You have to do a roll call.
Yep. Yeah.
Marshall, yes.
Chapman, yes.
Gingras, yes.
Carol, yes.
Laban, yes.
Leonardo, yes.
Coker, yes.
Williams, yes.
Rayleigh, yes.
Thank you. So approved. Okay, next we're going to move on to the town meeting article review. Article 31, the downtown business district. Jenny?
Do I need to change anything to have it up there?
Should be up there.
Projector. Thank you, Aiden.
Okay. Good morning. So I'm here to present a couple different zoning articles. While we're waiting for that to come up, I'll just begin by saying I'm going to talk about the downtown business district zoning article first. This zoning article came before town meeting in the fall. It was voted back to committee. So we, the planning board, the zoning working group, we went back to the article, back to the drawing board, and we did make a few revisions to it, added some more clarity to things that were a question. And of course, we did more public outreach and talked to a lot of new people or other people that maybe had some questions about it before. But overall, I'll just say that this zoning article, the point is that it's removing some unnecessary steps that a property owner or a business owner would have to take to develop in downtown. And then it also creates a clearer and more predictable framework for those property owners and businesses. So this zoning, again, it directly implements the town's strategic plan, master plan, and downtown plan, all of which asked for a vibrant, walkable, business-friendly downtown. But that only matters if we align our zoning with them. So that's why we made this change. Right now, the downtown is pretty complicated. Sorry, I left my pointer, but I can talk over it. So you may already know this, but thank you. So the orange here, this is the existing downtown business district map. So the orange is downtown, this yellow color is residential, green means state or municipal owned, purple and blue are industrial, and then this circle here is the 2,500 feet of the rotary. That rule matters because right now it's how we determine whether the design review board is going to oversee any design changes on a building. But so, I mean, as you can see overall, this is pretty complicated. We also have more than a few parcels that have split zoning, meaning that they're zoned partially residential, partially downtown, partially industrial, partially downtown. So it can be very confusing when someone comes in and wants to know what they can do with their property. And then we have what's called the DPOD. It stands for the Downtown Planning Overlay District, and it's this striped area here, which has really only been used by Bay State Commons since it has been in play for Westborough. So to use the DPOD, which really allows more flexibility in the zoning and is a special permit through the planning board, you have to be within 2,500 feet of the rotary, so that circle. You have to be zoned residential, non-residential, so either the orange or the purple or blue. And then you would have to be classified as that at town meeting. So if another parcel within those parameters wanted to take advantage of the DPOD, they would have to go to town meeting, be reclassified to have that overlay, and then come into the planning board for a special permit, and then be able to take advantage of that flexible zoning. So obviously that's very complicated. So it creates a lot of uncertainty for the property owners. The town meeting, of course, adds an extra action if they want to take advantage of that. And really more time, cost, uncertainty for the property owners and for staff. So this slide shows really what the article does. It creates one clear downtown business district as the base zoning. So no more overlay. The blue circle would actually go away also. So it would be clear that for Design Review Board, they would oversee any changes in the downtown business district or the gateway district, which is this brown striped area here. It removes the industrial zoning classification from the downtown, which really isn't appropriate for a downtown. It was left over from when Bay State Abrasives was over there. It also eliminates that need for a parcel by parcel overlay zoning. So a business or property owner, if they wanted to take advantage of the flexibility in the zoning, they don't need to go to town meeting to be reclassified. The zoning just is what it is. So overall, it really makes it easier for property owners and businesses to understand. It really is just simplifying the zoning. So one important part of the map update is that it fixes areas where the zoning doesn't match what is actually on the ground. So there are several properties downtown here that are outlined in red that we are proposing to add to the downtown business district. So right now they're zoned residential, but most of them are not residential uses. And so their use is technically not allowed within that district right now. So what we did was we are proposing to rezone them as downtown business down to 70 Church Street, which is St. Luke's. And another thing that does is the Design Review Board right now does not have jurisdiction to review any architectural changes or signage for uses that are in a residential zone. So this would allow the Design Review Board to have that oversight, which is important because we want to make sure that we keep that historic character downtown as well. So again, it's not introducing new commercial activity. These are existing uses. It's cleaning up the inconsistencies that have created that confusion on what can be done. So from an economic development standpoint, it's reducing regulatory risk and making reinvestment more likely. And then again, the Design Review Board review over our historic buildings. So the updated use table reflects what a modern downtown actually includes. We're really not introducing new uses. We kind of have right now a catch-all in our zoning table called Other. And so what we did was understanding from the downtown plan that that's confusing to incoming businesses. We said we should put the businesses that we want to see on the use table. Because Other kind of leaves it open to interpretation from whoever the staff is. And it also is confusing when a business owner wants to come in and the first thing they do is look at our use table, see if something's allowed, and they don't know because it says other. So the proposed base zoning is not increasing what is already allowed under the existing overlay. This is the current existing downtown business district, what's allowed for the dimensional requirements, meaning the lot area, the height, setbacks, frontage. But the downtown planning overlay district, those dimensional requirements are the same as what we're proposing, except for the front yard where we're saying it's a maximum of 10 feet. So we found, looking at other downtowns in the area and through our public feedback, that people really like that feeling of a building closer to the street. It creates a more comfortable downtown, and the parking in the back of the property, it also creates a more walkable area. And overall, I think the public was really happy to want to see something like that. And it's not out of line with what's currently downtown. Most of our buildings are close to the street. So for parking and the transportation approach, downtown currently does not have a parking requirement. So that means that if someone comes in, there's no minimum parking requirement. It doesn't mean that they don't put in parking. The market really drives that for most uses. But we kept that requirement the same, except for multifamily and mixed-use residential. We're proposing to require 1 off-street parking space per unit. We're also adding in bike parking standards, which the planning board has done in other areas of the zoning as well. Through feedback, we found that it's important to promote a walkable community or bikeable community, and just adding in that requirement that you have a bike rack, things like that is really important to start to push that message forward. So even though the zoning becomes simpler, the review process is remaining the same. And this is not different. The non-conforming uses is not different from what is currently, but one of the things we did based on the feedback from last town meeting is we wanted to clarify that. So existing non-conforming lots, meaning that if you have a lot that's smaller than the allowed size in the zoning, you can still build on it without the need for an extra special permit. It still may go through site plan review, but it wouldn't need that special permit. And the same with the uses. Any uses that exist that are by special permit currently or not allowed on the use table, they could remain in place. That doesn't change. But I will say that on the use table, we're not changing any uses to be not allowed. It's either a special permit or yes. But most of the uses we did change to yes, allowed, because that allows for more flexibility. And it's in kind with what we heard is wanted to be seen for uses in the downtown. So if a proposal requires an increase in nonconformity, meaning they're wanting to go taller than may be allowed, or closer to the setback lines, or have less parking, they would need a special permit through the planning board. So that just still gives that flexibility, but it's good for the planning board to also have that oversight. So the review process, again, is the same as it is for other areas of the bylaw. The planning board would do a site plan review for most new commercial, mixed use, and multifamily projects. The design review board would review the building design, signage, lighting, landscaping. Inclusionary zoning would still apply, so a minimum amount of affordable units. We do have design standards in the planning board's rules and regulations, and the design review board also has design standards. Those would still remain in place. And then the building permit, of course, would still be required. So overall, this is making the zoning simpler, but the review process and the safeguards would remain in place. So again, from an economic development standpoint, this article is really simplifying the zoning structure. It's reducing uncertainty. It's improving predictability for property owners and businesses, which I think is one of the biggest points here. And it aligns the zoning with how the downtown is already functioning. So that's it, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for a great presentation. Any questions? Comments?
This looks great, Jenny. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Economic Development Committee is proposing to send a letter of support for Article 31 for the downtown business district. And so is there a motion to approve the letter? Would you like me to tell you what the letter says? Okay,
Yes.
sure. On behalf of the Town of Westborough's Economic Development Committee, we are pleased to express our strong support for the proposed Article 31 amend zoning bylaw downtown business district at Town of Westborough Springtown meeting. The amendment represents an important step toward thoughtful growth in Westborough by modernizing the downtown business district zoning to clarify existing provisions, remove ambiguity, and consolidate overlapping downtown districts into a single base district will benefit business and property owners alike. Furthermore, the amendment expands uses by right, simplifies administration, and create a more business-friendly downtown, consistent with the town's master plan, strategic plan, and downtown plan. We respectfully urge the planning board and town meeting members to support the proposed zoning amendment. Thank you.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
That's it.
Great. Dan?
Marshall, yes.
Chapman, yes.
Carol, yes.
LeBen, yes.
Leonardo, yes.
Coker, yes.
Sorry, we didn't have discussion. I just wanted to say on these articles, because the select board hasn't voted, my intention is to abstain. So I just wanted to be clear about that. So I'm abstaining from the vote.
Thank you. Scott?
Really, yes.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you for a great presentation.
Thank you. I'm on again.
Okay. Article 32.
Yep, and I have the, just don't pay attention to that first slide. I've presented this a few times now, so the article numbers changed and the board who I'm presenting to has changed. So essentially, this article is to change our current sign bylaw, but add a specific section to allow off-premise digital billboards. So the state and federal law already regulate these signs heavily, but we don't have local zoning that regulates them, so we have limited control. We've had some recent industry interest along the highway corridors, specifically 495, which made it important for us to define clear rules now and implement some zoning to regulate them. So again, we're proposing a change to the bylaw. It's in section 8.2 under the existing sign bylaw. So digital billboards under the bylaw would be only allowed on commercial or industrial property directly abutting I-90 or I-495 and only in full compliance with state regulations. But as you'll see on a future slide, state and federal regulations really guide the locations and how far away they can be from one another, which is really great. So you won't see an overabundance of them. For example, on I-90, there's already one existing, and because of the state and federal rules, no other billboard can be placed in proximity to that. So unless that was taken down and a new one put up, no other one can be put in. But I'll talk about that more on a later slide. So these are the state and federal regulations. I won't read through them all, but it's just a sample of what I was just referencing. The billboard sign cannot be within 500 feet of a ramp. It can't be within an area zoned residential. It has to be in a commercial or industrial zone. Can't be within 1,000 feet of another billboard. it has to be within 500 feet of at least 2 businesses. So even if you have a residential use in a commercial business, that billboard cannot be within 500 feet. It has to be within 500 feet of at least 2 of businesses. It can't have any moving parts, flashing, animation. It can't cause glare onto the roadway. And then it must be maintained, the customary maintenance. And then it's a requirement that they must dedicate 15 hours a month to MassDOT for messages. So along I-495, and this proposal is from one of the companies that has approached us. They're proposing a location here. I believe this is near West Park Drive and Flanders. But they're proposing a billboard in this area. And if they did put that in that area, it would block out all of these areas in red. There are other areas that they could, another company or that company could potentially put one, but it has a effect. So if they put one here, it could block out other areas because of those rules about distancing. This might show it a little better just because it's zoomed in. You have a ramp here. So again, there's a requirement of how much distance from a ramp. This could be a conforming location, but if you put one here, then it blocks out here, and on and on and on. So it's pretty restrictive already with the state and federal regulations.
That's on the, Jenny, that's on the westbound, the southbound side of 495, correct?
Yes.
The solar field's on the right, on the northbound side, just for point of reference.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, so as we're looking down the slide, then that's where the Mass Pike entrance is, just for orientation, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Over here. Thank you.
Yep.
I think this might be a similar slide, just showing that the billboard would space out 1,000 feet in each direction there. And then along I-90, this was what I was referencing before. There's an existing billboard here on the Cumberland Farms property. So because of that location and the requirements from the distance from ramps and 1,000 feet and 2 businesses, it spaces out everywhere else in Westborough for I-90. So we won't be seeing another billboard along I-90. In the bylaw, we're proposing, in addition to referencing the state and federal regulations, we're proposing a maximum size of 680 square feet per sign face, a maximum height of 75 feet, and again, that spacing to stay consistent with the state and federal regulations of 1,000 feet from other digital billboards from both sides of the roadway. So it wouldn't be a by right process. The planning board would review each proposal by special permit through a public hearing. The select board would then negotiate a development agreement to secure the public benefit and mitigation, which I'll talk about on the next slide. And then the building commissioner would only issue a building permit after all of those approvals are in place. So there's multiple layers of review and the town would still have oversight. The zoning is also written so that the planning board must make findings that the proposal creates no safety hazards, no nuisances, no visual harm, no adverse impacts on surrounding properties. And then if they cannot find that the proposal meets those, then they can deny the permit. So the bylaw includes a requirement that every approval must include a development agreement with the select board. That agreement can require monetary compensation. When this company approached us, they said that for Westborough specifically, they would be looking at a starting offer of $65,000 annually. They can also offer 5 years payment up front And they did express that the select board could negotiate that to increase incrementally over the years. But that's something that the select board would need to work out. We can't add that specific language into the zoning. They can also offer community messaging, time, emergency communications. We did receive 2 letters of support from the fire chief and the police chief. They find that these are really important to display things like Amber Alerts or public safety announcements. Maybe the pike is closed up ahead, things like that. So I know also in other communities, those have been very useful for those reasons. And then the town can also use it, as you've probably seen on Route 9, to advertise town events or businesses, things like that, farmers markets. So that would have a dedicated time. I think it's 15 hours a week that could be dedicated to the town. So this slide is from the company. They just helped me with, what could be offered in this. They did say that they know that Westborough has had a concern with cannabis advertising. This had come to town meeting a few years ago, and I know that was a concern. We cannot regulate what is on a sign in zoning. That is illegal, but we can, through the municipal agreement, the select board can do restrictions on types of things that are advertised. And then again, the annual mitigation fee, and then 15 hours per month to the Westborough community for any messaging. So just to summarize, this article preserves that local control while requiring that public benefit. It applies strict safety and spacing standards. It supports our emergency communications. And then we also have the strong enforcement tools with it. So it doesn't encourage billboards. I think there's limited areas on 495 that we can put it, but it allows us to create a controlled and highly regulated framework so that when we get a proposal or if proposals come forward, we can manage them carefully. So that is it. Thank you.
Very good presentation again, Jenny. Thank you. Any comments?
I have a question. So it was implied there's really only one site, but since we do get economic benefits, is there any way with that puzzle to create more than one billboard?
On the, based on the regulations, I think there's a possibility that perhaps you could have one more. But the company I spoke to said that it would be incredibly difficult because you'd have to build a road to the site and it would just be a lot more expense. So potentially in the future, I suppose they could put another one. But it's really, you're going to see one as a result of this. The bylaw, if you're referencing other areas of town, like Route 9, we already have billboards that were in place prior to any zoning. So those would not change. The last time this came to town meeting, it's my understanding that it was to allow billboards or regulate billboards, I should say, along Route 9 also, but it didn't pass. So we're narrowing this down to just focus on 495.
I have another question, but so the companies that propose to build, does it become their long-term right? What are their rights? Are they buying 10-year leases, 20-year leases? When they put in that money, it's not clear like who.
Yeah, that would be an agreement with the property owner because it would be on their property unless they propose something on town property, which I don't believe there's any location here that would be on town property. So that would be something they would have to work out, but the regulations or the bylaw would have conditions that would cover the life of the sign. And I would assume that in the development agreement with the select board, it would cover the life of the sign.
Yeah,
But from what I know, once they're up, they usually
it's
don't
just
take
very
them
important
down.
then to get the dollar amount right that you're getting per year because you have no chance to change it. there's no lease every 10 years that you can renegotiate that. So it's very important to get that right up front.
Yeah, well, they did express that you could put in like increases a percentage, but again, we can't put that in the zoning. That's something that will have to be worked out with the select board.
If I may, actually, some of the agreements that are there now have a lifespan. They may be out there, why, but it's up to select board to determine what the length of the agreement would be, whether it be 10 years, 20, 100, whatever. It would come in due time, so there is, you can get another bite at the apple, if you will.
Yeah, I think to that question, it's great feedback. I mean, hearing that, I'll bring that back to the board as part of our discussion. We have not yet voted our support for this particular article. And yes, so I would want to make sure that we're not locked into an agreement that just sort of stays flat. You know, things increase, the contract and the reimbursement should reflect that, is my opinion. But it is, you know, the town, just as for the public's benefit, the town has limited ways in which we can raise revenues. This is one. There's a trade-off, right, with everything. And we heard that at the last town meeting. I do appreciate the planning board's willingness to take this back and narrow the scope. I think it's helpful. So I do have a couple questions, but I'm pretty upset. Jenny, you mentioned, can you go back to where it said you had all the list of things where it couldn't be?
The map or the
The-
regulations?
Yeah, right there.
This, okay.
So where you say like 6 bullets down, must be within 500 feet of at least 2 businesses. Business is just sort of a general term, but when we think of multifamily, large multifamily, those are commercial buildings. From a
building code standpoint.
building
yeah.
code, but not from a tax perspective, right? Right. Keep me on track here.
Yeah, I would have to I don't know. I think I know where you're going, but I don't know. I'd have to read the state and federal regulations again to see what it's saying. If it's a commercial use, I don't know if it defines it.
So if we could just get clarity around that in advance, I'm just sort of thinking about even for the select board meeting coming up, maybe through Christie, give that update, because I'm thinking if there were to be a large, and I don't even know if it applies here or could apply here in the future, if there was a large multifamily unit, could that billboard be next to it because it's a commercial entity?
Okay.
Or is it
Yeah.
in accordance with this particular regulation?
Jenny, I think that during the planning board presentation, I think that was answered.
Okay.
So I'm sure it'll be easy to get that.
Okay, yeah, if we could just do that and then, so everyone's clear and it doesn't become a swirling question at town meeting.
Absolutely.
So that would be one question. And then, the 15 hours, I saw 2 things. I saw the state requires 15 hours dedicated to Mass DOT.
Yes.
That's a month.
Yep.
And then there's plus 15 hours
To the town.
to the town.
Correct.
Is that a negotiable item? Or is that like a maximum set by the state that is sort of embedded in part of the negotiation that a select board could do?
I don't think it's a state requirement, but I'll double check on that. I
Okay.
think it's what this company is offering.
Okay. So I'm going to take that as that's a negotiable item unless we hear differently.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I can double check that
Yeah.
with them.
Okay. And then final question in terms of that, as part of the agreement, we can determine what cannot be advertised using cannabis, adult entertainment, that sort of thing.
Correct.
My question in this environment that we're in is, can that be like, I would worry a little bit about, I've seen billboards across the country advertising things that I know a lot of people here in town, not everyone, would be outraged about on the political spectrum. It would be helpful to understand, I think, because I think that this is a question that could come up, like to what extent can the select board define what in some ways might be considered free speech
Okay.
in this context?
Okay. I can definitely clarify that. I mean, it sounded like in my discussions with them that we know that in zoning, we cannot regulate what is on a sign.
Right,
That's
right.
against the freedom of speech laws.
Yeah.
But in a development agreement,
Right.
it probably would be in line that you say, no political endorsements, things like that, within the agreement.
Right.
But I will verify that with that.
Like you could advertise elections are coming up, but it couldn't be someone's maybe face on the board.
Right,
But that would be, I think that would be
specific.
helpful to have kind of in your back pocket or even to update the slide at town meeting.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Are you going towards Shelby Marshall for select board?
No, I don't have pockets that deep. And people would probably say no to that. No, just kidding.
Could I add a question on to that about the hours? Just the value of an hour is very different depending on when of the day and when of the week. So just again, same thing of negotiating. If we're coming on with the economic development committee hat and what times we get the right to advertise our local businesses or whatever those examples were, it's very different if it's 3 a.m. versus 8 a.m.
Yeah, and we do have a digital billboard right now on Route 9. I'm not intimately involved in how, we do advertising on there, so I'm not sure how that works. I know that we have submitted, like, we have a public meeting coming up. Can we get on there? And it goes up there, and I see it during the day. But I'm not sure what's in that current agreement.
Yeah, just as an FYI, Mike and I are working on a lot of the shop dine local advertisements, and we are using the billboard. We've worked out a better process, and I've worked with Amanda as well. So it goes through the select town manager's office to get it up on there. And to Mike's point, just what are the opportunities, right? It might, my experience is that the billboard company doesn't try to run things only at 3 a.m. They really do try to be helpful, but it might be helpful to, or beneficial to actually explicitly lay that out.
Is it the same billboard company as on Route 9?
No, it's not. It's,
Okay.
yeah, this is a different company. And to be clear, that this bylaw, it's just zoning. It's not zoning for this specific company.
Right.
We've been approached before by other companies, but they expressed an interest in the zoning and helped send over the state and federal regulations. But they do understand that if this passes, it's whoever applies for a permit first. And they definitely understand that. We've talked to them a few times about that, but they've done this in other communities. So they have been really helpful, but this isn't geared just to them.
And just to be clear too, in terms of the development agreement for the public's benefit and businesses here, I don't envision that the town itself would be advertising like specific businesses like Joe's Garage, but generally it would be the shop dine local, just so everyone's clear. So the town is in that would not be
Yeah.
appropriate for the town to do. Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
know,
we're
but just
actually, in our current agreements, we're specifically prohibited from doing that.
yeah, just in case people are sometimes if we're not clear.
And also, to be fair, if you're traveling 495 and there's no traffic, you're going pretty fast. So you're looking at a billboard, you got only a second to look at it, let's be honest. And I love the ones on Route 9. I'm always looking to see what's up there, but I'm coming upon a light, so I have a chance to look at it. So it'd be interesting on 495, though. Now, there's plenty of traffic, so there might be times you get to go through the whole series. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But
And I drive 495 every single day.
Me
and
too.
I don't always go very fast.
not first thing in the morning, you don't.
No.
But at night, you do. Let me
Yes.
tell you. So, okay. Any more questions? Comments? So, am I to understand there is a letter that we want to recommend, but we don't have it written right now, correct?
Yeah, so I think you could vote to recommend passage, and then you could give the chair the authority to write a letter. It doesn't even have to be a detailed letter.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Would someone like to make a motion that we would want to support a letter coming from this committee for this zoning bylaw change, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Yes, motion to support the change for article number 30.
Thank you. Seconded?
Seconded. Carol, seconded.
Great.
But can I just, first of all, just make sure there's no other discussion, Karen, but for that purpose, I would just amend the motion not to be specific to the letter, the number, because I'm not sure that we,
Yeah, it might be 31
I thought
or
32 on the agenda, so.
That's okay.
Christy, we
32.
know what that is because we've
Billboard
closed,
signs, just generally. the
Billboard signs,
Yeah,
yep.
okay.
we've closed the warrant, so we know the number. Christy, what, do you know what that is? Okay, so if we just,
I can pull it up.
okay,
Okay. So motion to support article 32 for the billboard.
thank you.
Carol, seconded.
Mary, yes.
Marshall abstain.
Chapman, yes.
Carol, yes.
Lebanon, yes.
Leonardo, yes.
Coker, yes.
Williams abstain.
Really, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank
Great
you.
presentation.
It is Article 32.
I think I can vote yes, right? I don't,
So the vote would be 802. Right, okay.
Okay, next we have a presentation from Pete. Am I right? Pete Dumbeck about the Specialized Energy Code.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Yep.
5 minutes? Yep.
Okay, we're running. Well, thank you for the chance to present to you today. We will be, where did that go? Sorry. I think my battery, oh, it's up there. It's not on my screen anymore. Yeah, it's not on my screen anymore, so I'm confused.
it's on this screen.
Yeah, we can see it here. And
Do you see the double?
yeah,
I'm trying to get out of that mode.
Yeah, it might be your settings that,
Yeah, there it is. Up to second screen instead of extended screen.
there we go.
There we go. Okay, so
It's okay.
I know what's going on. Okay.
Stay. Okay.
Okay, sorry for the technical difficulties there. So Sustainable Westborough will be proposing that the town change its energy code to the specialized energy code. Currently, we're on a code called the Stretch Energy Code, which we've been in effect since 2019. We're proposing an effective date for this change of January 1st of 2027. It's important to note that this change only affects new building construction. And so how will this affect 99+% of residents and businesses? It will have a beneficial effect on the environment, but really no direct financial impact. With the grant money that's potential, we believe there's a potential tax benefit over time, and that for the buildings that are built under this code, there'll be a savings on utility bills. So what's included in the specialized code? Again, emphasizing what's included is new building constructions, and explicitly alterations, additions, change of use are explicitly excluded. And there are no additional requirements for the specialized code. They will be implemented using the existing code if we pass this or when we pass this. So let's talk about new construction. There's really no change for most building types. If they are all electric, again, new construction, and they're single-family homes, office buildings, municipal buildings, retail, et cetera. The exclusion in the type that's not listed there is the multifamily home that's going to be discussed in a minute. And you noted I said all electric. Well, if it's fossil fuel, there are additional requirements, solar and pre-wiring for future electrification. But significant new data for the last few years is that electrification has been the predominant mode for most commercial buildings, for all commercial buildings, with up to 90%, over 90% of new commercial buildings being all electric. So the number of buildings that are impacted by the fossil fuel requirement is a very small percent. Indicative of this is proposals like Post Road. Pulte has gone from gas to all their new buildings are electric. The Coangelo proposal is all electric also. So we're seeing it locally. That's more anecdotal. The data I'm reporting comes from DOER statewide. The last column is what happens on multifamily housing buildings. It's a requirement to do passive house efficiency standard. But recent data has shown that passive house is caught on in a dramatic way statewide, with over 80% of new multifamily housing buildings being built in mass-save communities to the passive house standard. So the majority of the buildings being built in the state are in the first column, and the impact is more limited, and it's primarily in the passive house impact on multifamily housing. Who has adopted this? Well, about 32% of the state's population is adopted the specialized energy code, including 3 of our benchmark communities, as shown in this chart. 8 additional communities are, DOE has told us, are in the planning stages of voting at Springtown meeting. So there is a growing trend toward adoption of the specialized energy code across the state. What could the grant money be used for? Primarily for decarbonizing town buildings or installing solar. In our capital plan that was published in December, there are several big HVAC systems that are in the capital plan, including the schools listed here and potentially others. There's significant grant money, like $1 million per system, that's available to spend state money on those projects instead of local tax dollars. So all of these grants we get reduce the tax levy for residents and for businesses. So this is a positive impact on the tax if we can get these grant money and avoid these costs in the future. We have received a great deal of input from other towns, including these 3 that are highlighted. I kind of won't read all of the points, but I did send a letter late yesterday with the full letter from the town manager of Hopkinton, who was strongly supportive of the specialized code, described that it's getting clear benefits for their town, and that the transition's been manageable and efficient, and the collaboration among designers and builders has been a smooth transition. Lexington highlighted that people were saying that it was going to kill affordable housing development. In contrary to that, they had a surge in new housing over the last couple of years. And Julian Wilson Martin, the sustainability director, met with the different people in the town and got feedback that new construction has not changed since the adoption of the specialized code, and that they are seeing the all-electric option being a predominant building mode. Passive house is a standard, is a change. Changes always take new learning and new experiences, but it's not significantly different from hers and much easier for inspectors than some of the other options that are used for commercial buildings. So in summary, we're trying to unlock a new source of state grant money, trying to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and do this by tipping the scales in favor of electricity over fossil fuels. These buildings and the multifamily housing are much better for occupants with lower utility costs, healthier, quieter indoor environment. We think there's, you build better quality new buildings and there's no impact on the existing building stock. So we'd like to have your support for this article. Be happy to take questions.
So Pete, you're talking about unlocking grant money. So there's no guarantee that grant money will come here and all those benefits will actually happen, correct?
There are no guarantees about the future, yes. This is the next generation of the Green Communities program that's been running for almost 20 years with annual grant cycles, and they're called competitive grants, but we've never gotten turned down for any application we've made. We can't predict the future, but the past experience has been very positive.
Thank you.
One question I have is, so on the grant money, is this the one with the 20% parking spaces must be for electrical vehicles? There's like stipulations to it,
There is
residential requirements.
There's no requirement for electric vehicles that's in the specialized code that's different than the stretch code. Those are all in the existing code that we were under today. So there are requirements, which I'm not going to be able to quote exactly, but it's what you're alluding to. A certain portion in a commercial space needs to be reserved for electric vehicles in the stretch energy code, the existing code. And that's not changing with this bylaw.
Thank you.
Do we know if there's enough electrical capacity in the area that it would eventually hit a point where you couldn't build more? I have customers in Boston that can't get more electricity even if they wanted to.
The electric grid is going through a transformation, definitely. It's a local phenomena, and Westborough happens to have reasonable capacity in our grid, but that will be used up. And more development of the transmission network is needed. None of this is being done with just because we want to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. It's being done because we need new housing, we need new office space, we need commercial buildings. So the buildings are being built, and what this standard is doing is encouraging more efficient buildings. So that's going to be easier for the electric grid to accommodate. The other thing is the heat pumps, which is the type of electric heating we're talking about here, don't use any more electricity than the air conditioning those buildings are already used. So the transmission network is determined by the summer peak, which is air conditioning, and the heat pumps don't use any more than that, so that it's not going to actually increase the transmission demand over the summer peak. Does that make sense?
Oh, I understand.
Okay. I don't know who you are, so thank you.
Pete, has the business community, has there been discussion with business owners and developers and communities about this proposed change?
Yes.
And what's the feedback been?
It's mixed. The one developer was wrote a letter, sent it to the select board. The comments in his, I'll say it's Cruise Capital, Chris Egan sent a letter, and his representations were emphasizing how economically damaging it would be, but he was making statements that implied that it was going to affect current leases and current property values and stuff, which it doesn't, because it doesn't apply to existing buildings. And he was saying it was going to hurt housing, all of the data we've got from DOER and other organizations is that housing development hasn't been adversely impacted in communities. This code has been in place for 3 years, initially launched 3 years ago.
Yep.
So there's a history and a track record that's now being reported. So I don't think he had the facts right. And we'll be developing comments for the select board related to that.
And my other question, part two, is
I had one other, and we did talk to another developer who didn't give us permission to use his name, but he said that he's not opposed to it. In fact, his development was a residential mixed-use property, and he felt he could actually sell the value of the better quality building in the lower utility bills because his residents would be paying those. So he thought it was kind of a neutral. He wasn't like, yeah, good, new regulations, I love them. But he was like, this isn't
6, 7.
isn't going to be a
Yeah, well, I mean, the low utility bills is dependent on the grants. And, we've got a lot of commercial buildings that are empty right now. I'm not sure that the statement that we need more commercial buildings is actually accurate. So I want to just be cautious about adding another regulation
Yes,
to
Sandy.
what we already have.
I want
Sandy,
to clarify on the
Sandy, this is Shelby. I don't think that the grants do not affect lower utility bills directly.
in the grants are for municipal properties. So you kind of mixed apples and oranges a bit there. So first is the grants is to benefit the municipal government and to support our need to manage our buildings. The overall bylaw affects everybody, residents and businesses, and it only affects people who are building new buildings. To your point, where we have empty office space, it's not impacted because that would be renovation for a new client or a change of use, and that would be in the current stretch code. It wouldn't be part of the specialized code. So the lower utility bills comment was on comparing two options for new construction, kind of the old building standard or the new building standard, and the new building standard would lower the bills. But for existing buildings, it's kind of irrelevant. It's not in the code. It's not in the specialized code.
So
Okay, thank you.
I do think it's important. The point you made, it was on an earlier slide, is, and Mr. Egan made the point that, this additional code, really serves to benefit the town only, not the business community. But Pete, I do think you tied it back nicely in making the point that if grant money comes to the town to benefit the town, ultimately funding some of those major projects like HVAC units, and you mentioned a couple of municipal buildings, that does directly impact the tax levy because those most likely would be borrow items. They're not free cash because of the size and the amount and their capital investments. So, appreciate what he's saying, but I think that there's a larger benefit here. One question, though, I do have is he makes the point that the incentives that were once in place for electrification and what have you, he implies that those have decreased over time. Let's see here. He says, developers were able to in the past receive some payback from the initial energy codes because it did reduce electric costs, but there are few, if any, paybacks that have been found from this latest one. So I don't know if you can speak to that, and if you can't right now, that's fine, but I think the select board would certainly want to understand because we did receive this letter.
Yes, I didn't understand some of his comments, so I'll have to speculate and
I
parse that out. The latest energy code reference could be to the stretch energy code, which his buildings
already in
were
place.
impacted on, which is not part of what we're, it's not, we can't undo the stretch code.
Right.
So I'll have to get the reference you're.
Yeah, so I think it might just
I
be.
have the documents. so
Yeah, it
I'll-
might just be clarification because, you know, we've seen certainly at the federal level, right, some of those incentives being peeled back, I think. That's my understanding. But I think you should just be prepared to speak to it because,
Yeah, the incentives, particularly at the federal level on solar is gone.
Yeah.
And, but for, I mean, part of the data and the analysis DOER is doing is responding to the pressure on mass save.
Right.
And there's a lot of press about that pressure. It is the data they're sending us and the report that's going to be out just about the time for town meeting is showing a pretty strong case for mass save being very efficient and effective, the incentives that are being produced.
Okay.
There are structural changes that need to happen to mass save. There's inequities. Wealthier people in single-family homes get much more benefit than renters and businesses and stuff. There's participation problems with the way mass save is structured, and I think that needs to be reviewed. But the incentives related to passive house and heat pumps and stuff are demonstrating they're actually working quite well.
Okay, it's 9:10 now. Is there any more discussion or questions?
the only thing I would just like to make the point is just, I think it's really important for everyone to emphasize that the majority of changes are already in place with the stretch energy code. I think that that's really important. It took me a while to really understand that and lock that in my mind. This is making a tweak and an enhancement, as Pete outlined. And I also want to address Karen's question about outreach to the business community, or just outreach to the community in general. You've had 2 or 3. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so we had a public information session that's been recorded on Westborough TV, and I'd encourage you to go look for that. It's now online. I'll send you the link, make sure you got that. The 495 Metro West Partnership also had a regional discussion on this, and had 4 communities who had already implemented the specialized code, and they talked about their experiences, which were positive. And you know, it's change. It's people have to learn new ways of doing things, and there's change, but they found net benefit to their communities and were positive. We also do the circuit of Rotary and the different, you know, Lions and Civic and all the different clubs and so forth, Knights of Columbus, and try to do as much high-touch engagement as possible. And I've learned a lot from that, as you always do. Yes.
I just have one question. What rate of inflation is baked into your modeling of electric costs? Because my understanding from reading articles for small businesses about what to expect with electric costs is that it's going to go exponentially over the next 5 to 10 years, with the solar credits going away, but the pressure on from mass save, but just the pressure of demand across all industries using more electric. So are you using, you know, when we're talking about the benefits over the next 5 to 10 years, I just want to make sure we're not going to switch to electric just to be surprised with the rate of inflation there.
It's a complex dynamic because gas and electric are coupled, because 50% of the electricity in the state comes from natural gas. And there's global issues that impact, you know, that we're exporting a lot of natural gas, so we're now locked into international markets on natural gas, which we weren't previously. So there's a dynamic underlying both electric and gas, and they're coupled. I would, if I knew all of those answers, I'd be a wealthy person.
But do you know what rate of inflation you're using now to kind of make those estimates? Are we talking about expecting?
No, it's not exponential. It's higher than CPI, you know, Consumer
it's
Price Index.
in
but
that
it's-
3% range?
Pardon me?
Are you using like 3, 4, 5? I'm trying to understand because, you know, we don't know the answer to that, but
I don't do the modeling. Other
Yeah.
people do the modeling, and when I read it, and I shouldn't be quoting numbers, but it's over 3. It's probably higher end, like 5 than 3. And it's important that you're comparing option A and option B, and option B is gas, and gas is seeing inflation pressure because it's locked to the international markets. In Europe is willing to pay so much more for gas that they're pulling up the domestic gas prices.
I have a question. Since 50% of the electricity has been produced from gas, why gas is excluded from the new law? It's gonna be used a way or another, and it might be cheaper for homeowner and business using gas for heat instead of the
I
electricity.
have a slide on that.
So, and just to be clear, it's not to say that fossil fuels cannot be used. This change does not say you can't use fossil fuels. What it says is if you're doing new construction, new only, that if you're going to use fossil fuels, you must pre-wire for electrification, which is an additional cost, but you can still use fossil fuels.
Okay.
Can I just jump in?
I think we're getting in the weeds, I think, a little bit here.
So the quick answer is if you convert from burning gas for heating to using electricity for heating, you cut the emissions by 50% because the heat pumps are more efficient, and only part of the gas is part of the electricity is coming from gas. And every year that number goes down. It's a 50% reduction down to a 96% reduction as the grid gets cleaner. So as the grid gets cleaner, the emissions get better, greater reduction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Laura, I know you had something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I just want to, I want to bring up that talking with existing businesses is very valuable. However, what we're trying to do is fill up the unbuilt areas of town or the plots of land, the parcels of land that's unbuilt. We're trying to bring in new businesses. And that's kind of where this sort of fits in, right? And so when they're looking at trade-offs between Westborough and Marlborough, for instance, and the costs of building are exponentially higher in Westborough, we're not going to get that opportunity. They're going to go away. Also, I've spoken to some multifamily developers who have said that they prefer to be able to look at their site and decide which choices of sustainability they want to put in for a passive house, rather than being told exactly sort of where they need to put their development dollars. So this does narrow choices, and it does increase costs for new building, which would absolutely increase or decrease the competitiveness of Westborough.
Who do we compete the most with right now?
Marlborough.
So the analysis we've seen is that communities that have adopted the specialized code saw permitting increase in the year after compared to the year before, and towns that adopted the specialized energy code had a higher rate of new building permits compared to stretch code communities. So the data that we've seen shows that it's not adversely impacting new building construction in the towns that have adopted it.
We'll also see that in the last 3 years, the prices have increased exponentially, and the cost of building is absolutely enormous in Massachusetts. So not only are we competing in Massachusetts alone, but we are competing against other states as well.
Yeah, and in one of the discussions with the developer, we talked about that, and it's the cost of an electrician here compared to another state, and it's the cost of real estate, and it's the cost of a lot of things higher in Massachusetts. And so it's not one factor that's going to drive development. Anyway, thank you for your
Pete.
time. We'd like your support at town meeting.
Appreciate your taking the time to meet with us today.
So how are we moving forward with, because we don't have a letter drafted for this, it's obviously a complicated topic, lots of
I have a
great
letter
questions.
drafted,
Oh, I'm sorry, you do. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump ahead.
but
We have them somebody's gonna make a motion.
No, I know. Okay, so I wasn't clear because we haven't.
You want a motion to support, not support, whatever.
We haven't discussed whether we as a committee wanted to support or not support.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I wasn't aware that there was a letter drafted, first of all. Thank you, Laura. If we don't vote at this meeting, then my ask would be for those who are attending town meeting that there would be an action potentially at town meeting that we would make a decision to vote or not, or someone needs to speak on behalf of the committee is where I'm going.
I think we should probably make a motion to see where people stand.
Yep.
Or something like that.
Yep, I agree with that. Okay. Sandy, you want to start? Are you for?
Well, I don't think that's the question. I think is someone making a motion either way?
Somebody should make a motion to either support it or not.
And I'm
support
not,
it, either
just to
way,
be clear, I'm not going to make that motion
I know.
because of my position
Right.
on the select board. So,
Okay.
If someone makes the motion, then you can have discussion, I think is what
so,
folks are trying to say.
Someone like to make a motion to either approve or disapprove the
all right,
recommendation level?
I'll make a motion to recommend for this committee to endorse a letter of support for the specialized energy code. That is my motion.
Seconded? No,
And then-
seconded.
And then if anyone has any discussion, you can have discussion now. You don't have to vote right away.
It wasn't seconded.
Yeah, it's not, so again,
Oh, I'm
just,
sorry.
No.
I thought it was.
just, and I'm not
It's not
trying to push a
seconded.
second, but just, we cannot discuss it if we don't have a second. So no one wants to discuss it further, then the motion would fail.
Does someone want to make a motion?
I make a motion to not support this new code.
Seconded?
Second.
Okay. Dan?
So, whoa.
Discussion.
We need discussion.
Oh, and, sorry,
okay.
any more discussion?
I'd like to hear the opinions of the people who are,
Will you call the vote? Call the vote.
I thought we were in
Who called
discussion.
the vote?
Yeah, you can.
For
I mean, there's
discussion.
discussion or you can call the vote.
No, he wanted to discuss.
I
it.
wanted a discussion, please.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll speak. So I think that we have an extensive stretch code right now. This specialized energy code only nominally increases the community's stated goals, which Pete actually didn't mention, around sustainability. He has in other presentations, but he didn't go deep today because of time. So I think this aligns with what the community has outlined in multiple studies that the town's residents and some businesses have endorsed. It's only on new construction. I think Sustainable Westborough has done an extensive amount of research on this to try to position this in the most objective light possible, and the grant funds will, if we get them, will decrease the tax levy. So I am in full support.
So I think for the town, I mean, I understand the residences. Our job here is to really work with the communities and the businesses. And, our stretch code, as you say, Shelby, is already pretty extensive. To add another regulatory burden to our businesses and with the competition, I mean, Hopkinton's great. They're a very sleepy town. That's apples to oranges to me. When we think about Marlborough and our competition with Marlborough, a nominal increase is still an increase to our businesses. So I just feel like we've got a pretty extensive code and a pretty extensive regulations, and I don't think we need to add anything else.
I think my concern is that we're baking in a plan based on grants that the federal government has pretty clearly said are going to go away. The states don't have enough money to fill that gap as much as I want to. So just to be clear.
These are state grants, just to be clear.
Sorry, but the federal programs are going away for supporting the state. The state is now having budget shortfalls. So the shortfalls are not clear where they're going to be made up. I don't know. Like, as much as I wish all of these things had stayed in place, we don't know the state of funding. And the second thing is, I have been reading a lot about electricity prices, and I'm very concerned that electricity prices are about to skyrocket, and this does not clearly, between those two things, say that we're going to have lower costs. I'm concerned we're going to have higher costs and shift significantly into it, just as we wish we hadn't. Just like biotech and labs built up the entire 128 corridor and now are empty because they overbuilt. I'm concerned we're going to overbuild into electric just at the wrong time. I don't know the answer. I'm not saying I'm not ready to say I'm not supporting this. I just think there's too much information that I don't know. I asked the clarifying question, didn't get an answer. So
Okay, well, Mike, it's going to town meeting, right?
Yeah.
So the town residents are going to just vote on this
Yep.
on March 21st.
yep.
Okay.
So I'll make a general comment on this. Nobody's really asked me, but I guess I'll put my 2 cents in. So at some point, I would be in support of this, but not right at this time. I think the rollout for the actual stretch energy code has been confusing from a state standpoint. It hasn't been clear to the people actually enforcing the code, and I haven't seen anything that's changed that. I think much like the original stretch code when we opted in, eventually I was in support of that because the timing was better. We're still on the front end of this code. I think at some point I'd be in full support of that, but I'm not at this time.
One of the statistics was 32% has adopted this, and I didn't see our existing towns in our area adopting this particular plan. Secondly is, as everybody knows, I work with the business community, and regulation, additional costs, making decisions on where you want to open up your business, being competitive is important, and important to our region especially. Lexington, Hopkinton, certainly benchmark towns, but the rest of our communities, I didn't see whether they've adopted or discussed or even looking at this point. At this time, I would not be in support of this particular plan. Any other comments?
So we have a motion, just procedurally, we have a motion and a second, and if there are no other comments, then we would move to a vote.
Okay. We'll now ask for a vote. Dan?
Mayor abstain.
Yeah.
Marshall, no. Think about, because it's a double negative here.
Chapman, no.
Wait, just to be clear.
That's not the
I'm sorry, Chapman, yes,
So the
sorry.
motion is a letter of, to not support. So
not
I am
support,
voting
sorry.
no, because I am in support, just to be clear.
I'm voting not to send a letter to support. I'm opposed.
You're a yes.
I'm a
then.
yes. You're confusing me now. Yes.
Chapman,
Sorry.
yes. Okay.
Chapman, yes.
Gingras abstain. The planning board has a meeting tonight on this with a presentation.
Carol, yes.
Laban, yes.
Leonardo, yes.
Sandy?
Coker, yes.
Christie, are you abstaining?
Williams abstain.
Yep. And Scott?
Really, yes.
So 1, 2,
Okay, 3 abstain, 1 no, and 6 yes. Motion carries.
Thank you. There is a letter drafted to oppose.
It's just a recommendation not to support.
Okay.
And who will be presenting that at the town meeting?
It's a good question. Sandy, your name's here as the chair of this, but I don't know about presenting, so,
Yeah, I'll check the date and I will present if I need to.
okay.
Okay, and Sandy, if you can't be there at town meeting, then we just need to find an alternate. Who would
Yeah.
read that? And that, yeah.
Send me the letter that you're referring to.
Okay, we're now going to move on to committee reports, and I believe, is that you, Laura, next? Yeah?
So we're trying to further the business assistant grant process. There was many months ago proposal to update some of the rubric and to add additional framework to the process. I received a few feedbacks. I tried to put them into some categorical organization so that it was easier to discuss. I passed those out, so you might have them. Most of the comments are in red, and I tried to produce sort of a framework in the black. Oh, there's no copy for you, Fred. I made a few copies and I put them around. There might be some extras around.
Oh, here's one.
Yeah.
Can you pass it down? Yes.
Essentially, though, most of it, there were some questions about really just verbiage. There was definitely support for the ROI metrics, and then a few language and other kinds of context edits as well.
Okay, I think because since it's too many comment and question in here, it's better just I take my time, me and Mike, and prepare a response so we can, we can discuss it next time, or even we can send it to Laura and can share it with everybody so we can get like most of the points cleared before the next meeting, so we don't take that much time discussing everything over.
Yeah, so I think since everyone has this copy, thank you, Laura, for your work on this. If there are any further comments that would need to go back to you guys to say, yes, I agree, or no, I don't, or whatever, that would be helpful so you guys could move forward. And I did, admittedly, probably a lot of these are mine, pretty extensive. I am happy to meet with you guys to be part of that discussion. So just let me know when you want to do that.
Okay.
And that wouldn't create a quorum.
Yeah.
The other lot of them are mine, so I'd be happy to join too.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
And Sandy.
Okay, well, I just know what I gave to Laura, so it was,
No, I know. I'm joking, but I'd be happy to help too.
so as long as we don't have a quorum, we're good.
Okay, so go.
Okay, great. Thank you. Planning Department report, Jenny.
I have warrant articles for town meeting.
Yep.
We have a few applications in front of the planning board right now. We have the Post Road multifamily proposal, which is on tonight's planning board meeting. And then we also have a proposal on Oak Street, which is Westborough Swim and Tennis, an additional building on a lot there. That is on tonight's agenda, but it will be continued to another meeting. And then we also have a proposal on 5 Technology for Provision Ministry. They assemble care packages through donations for the community and others throughout the state. So that's really all I have for now.
Thank you.
Just a quick update on the ambassador. So I am, thank you to Sandy and Lara for providing me pretty extensive background on our ambassador program. I will be reaching out to the ambassadors this week to schedule a meeting to talk about that program and where we stand with our, like, what is their role? What are they doing? How do we maximize them? Maybe some fresh ideas.
Thank you for that update. Laura.
Okay, quickly. I'm just going to give an update on the branding and wayfinding. I haven't done that in a while. Talk a little bit. Our road trip from MOBD has been scheduled, so I'll give you more update. Want to talk about the Chamber Expo and Sustainable Fair for committee participation and some new business announcements. Branding and wayfinding, basically by June 30th, the funding runs out. If we don't spend it, we lose it. It's about a loss of about just shy of 80,000. Select board, I think soon. I don't know if 3-3 is right, but somewhere around there, they're looking at some locations. We're waiting on that for the IFB, which is like a request for.
Excuse me, Laura, there is no meeting tonight. The next meeting, which this is on, is the 10th.
10th, sorry, excuse me on that one. So March 10th, the select board will be looking at some information on locations for signs, and we're talking about approximately 8 signs. The majority of the funding, I think, will be spent on what we would consider more of like directional signs versus sort of the sign that says, "Welcome to Town Hall," or something along those lines. We did do a very general cost analysis, and so we figure there's about 8 signs that we can afford with the grants. But time is really running out because they have to be installed and paid for by June 30th. That's 3 months. So our road tour with MOBD has been scheduled for March 23rd. Draft agenda, essentially sort of 45 minutes at each site, which would be a business, visiting a business, so maybe up to 5 sites. They requested that they have some time in the middle of the day so they can check their emails and make some calls and so forth. So there's a longer time for lunch. Some of the numbers, some of the suggested businesses: Coughlin Company, Neotech, Astellas, Intoplast, Copen, Cumberland Farms, Olympus, Kayuku, and Amazon Robotics. I chose some of these because of possible expansion opportunities, and I thought that would be a great time for us to really introduce ourselves and MOBD and all of the mass development and other types of opportunities that the state and the town has. So far, I have Chief Purcell, Fire Chief Purcell said he would join, Peter Milano and Kevin Kuros. So Peter Milano, I think they're both MOBD, but they'll discuss mass development as well and other mass programs. And I don't know who from our side will be there other than me. And I want to send the letters out. I have a letter ready to send out to the businesses but I wanted to talk first here.
Can I ask a question about that? This is the first time I'm hearing it, so if I missed it previously, what is the purpose of the road tour? Like, why are we doing it? And yes, absolutely, there should be attendees from the EDC besides Lara attending. So,
yeah, this is I've brought this up about 2 or 3 times in the meeting. So it's something that MOBD came to me on. They've done this in Marlborough. They think it's a way for both the town and the state to raise profile, to add to, business. It's basically economic development, sort of, where are the businesses at? What can we do to support you? What are some challenges, et cetera? Okay. They had such a great reception in Marlborough. And so they were really psyched to be able to do this again.
got it. Thank you. Sorry, I missed that.
Okay. So just wanted to, Karen brought this up last meeting. So Tuesday, April 14th, is the Corridor 9 Expo. I went last year. I did not have a table, but I had a super time because personally, I was able to walk all the tables, which helped me in collecting some opportunity businesses with businesses. Are you thinking of moving or making some relationships or something along those lines? Sitting behind a table, waiting for people to come up to me I'm not as jazzed about it. But if there's, in the past, I think some ambassadors are sat at the table as well. It's a great event. That's all I can say. It's a lot of fun. There's tons and tons of businesses. And so, is there anyone from this committee who would spend a few hours at the hotel talking? And then alternatively, also there's Westborough Environmental Action Fair, which is March 14th from 1 to 4. It's a Saturday. And I also attended last year. I had a table. I didn't really have anyone come to the table. I did walk around. I met one business. I was able to make some relationship, but yeah.
So I think of the two in terms of time spent, the expo is clearly aligned with the work of this committee. I think my first question is, does the town as a member of the chamber, does the town have a budget for being a sponsor?
Ask Fred.
Yes,
I'm asking,
we do.
okay.
I don't have a budget.
Okay, so I think that we should have a table. I agree with you, Laura, that it is important to get out and get around to do that. But I think having a table that says the town of Westborough is participating in this event that's being held in Westborough sends an important message. I think that members of the EDC we could have just shifts, like come for a half hour, come for an hour. I think that would be important, but I think that the town should be represented. So I would, I don't know that we need a motion for this, but I think that would be important to do.
Well, why doesn't, if any, so I'm happy to start the process and get the registration started. And then we can talk to both ambassadors and members and try to figure out who would want to attend.
So with all due respect, I think you should be there.
I will definitely be
Oh,
there.
okay. So, okay, well, that
I'm
wasn't
definitely
clear to
gonna
me.
be there.
And I think the ambassadors, yes, so as well, but I do think committee members, because I think we're the ones here month after
It's
month.
3 hours.
I know. No, I know, but I think we should
split
extend
time. Yep.
and welcome the ambassadors. I just think that committee members are a little bit more engaged, for lack of a better way to say it, into the work of the committee, and that's so.
Okay, and then finally, just, it's very slim pickings these days, guys. There's not a lot going on. Happy Play Day on 30 Lyman Street got its change of occupant and opened up. This is so cute. 1 to 5-year-olds, little running around in their short little world. It's adorable. Trolley Dogs is a long-time business. They generally have food trucks, and they took the space where Thela was. They sort of bought out that. They didn't buy out the lease, but they moved into that. They're moving into that space. They're getting there. It's just a change of occupant. They're going to get approval for their trucks to be parked in the back, and they're hoping to open up sort of like a hot dog and grab a sandwich and so forth as well. And then Core Connection Pilates Studio, they're in the rear of 30 Lyman, and they're new. Building permits. Oh, what did I mess up there? Tenant fit out 8 Lyman. I don't know who it is, but there's a tenant fit out at 8 Lyman. Though that's M&T, right? Bank? 8 Lyman, I think that is. And then Mark's moving. They're doing some repairs and building out a conference room. And I don't know of any building purchases. And that's it.
Hey, can I just update very quickly? I should have done it when we get to the branding and wayfinding. My apologies. March 10th, I am scheduled to give a presentation to Select Board for approval of locations of signs. So hopefully that'll go forward on that date.
Thank you. Thank you, Fred. Comments, discussion?
I just want to let everyone know on March 6th, the Tanish new store in Boston, in Westborough is happening. That's at the right where Walmart is, the front building that was a bank.
To Chase Bank.
Yeah, the Chase Bank. Thank you. So just Tanish is this represents a significant step for Tanish as it opens its first luxury showroom in New England. The boutique sprawls over 4,000 square feet and hosts over 6,000 unique designs and masterpieces. And this is part of an international organization. They're quite part of. If anyone wants the announcement, I'm just happy
Can you
to share
forward
it.
that to me?
Yeah,
Thank you,
happy
Shelby.
to. And that, just to be clear, sorry, I'm waiting.
It's Friday at 12:30 12:30 to 2:30. Thank you, Shelby. I totally
Yeah, no
forgot about
worries.
that. It came through yesterday. I had
worries.
already done my report.
As your report helped me to remember
Yeah,
those happenings.
yeah. And I've mentioned them before. And there's also a clothing store right next to it. So they took
I've been
two,
looking at
two
it up there
buildings.
for a while,
Yep.
so, yeah.
So I'll forward that.
They opened in like January.
Yeah.
Yep.
Appreciate that.
So if anyone can attend, I'm sure they'd love the company celebration.
I'm bringing the scissors.
Okay, no other discussion, sorry. My mind was on that for a minute. No other discussion, well, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Carol.
Is that a second? Or you?
That was a motion to adjourn. no?
Second.
Seconded, thank you, Shelby. Dan?
Marshall, yes.
Chapman, yes.
Gingras, yes.
Carol, yes.
Lebanon, yes.
Leonardo, yes.
Coker, yes.
Scott?
Really is.
Thank you so much, have a great day, everybody.